Good evening. Welcome to Columbia Heights Public Schools, Independent School District 13, special call meeting of the Board of Education on Tuesday, January 9th, 2018. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask you to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, this is our organizational meeting. First up would be an approval of the meeting agenda. So if I get a motion to move that forward, please.
So moved.
Maddie?
Second.
Laura? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Next up would be the organization of the board. The school board chair will open nominations for board offices. Any board member may be nominated for any office. A nomination does not require a second, and each office is voted on separately. So we'll start with the chair position. Now nominations are now in order for the office of the chair.
I'd like to nominate Natty.
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
All right. I could nominate John Larkin.
Maddie. Any other nominations for the position of chair? Any other nominations for the position of chair? Hearing none, we'll close the nominations. Nominated for chair is Natty Severson and John Larkin. And now this one, do we do for one and then the other, or?
No, so.
Oh, they just read the name, who they would be. Okay, all right, so I'm having Natty do a roll call as the acting clerk, and you'll just say member Lewis, and she'll say Severson or Larkin, and then go around like that, so just to.
Do we have a second to talk about it first?
Oh, we can, yeah, I'm sorry, we can talk
that
about this
okay?
second, sure.
Okay. I just want to explain where I'm coming from with this,
Sure.
and it is absolutely not out of any sort of disrespect or anything. I just think that in not having a stagnant board and moving things along, rotation is a good thing. So, and I appreciate what Natty has done, her time commitment with a lot of the different areas that she's been involved in. And so that's just where I'm coming from. I appreciate everything and your leadership, all of that over the years, but I think that we've just had some troubling times, and I think that sometimes just doing things different is a good thing. So.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Is it appropriate to request feedback from the two people that have been nominated to see if that would be something that they would be, in a role that they would be willing and interested in serving in?
Yeah, actually, I mean, there's, in the past, you know, people that have been nominated have the opportunity to say why they would be interested, why they feel they would do a good job in the position, and we certainly can open it up for that.
You first.
And for the record, Molly, no disrespect taken.
Thank you.
I understand exactly where you're coming from. And my thoughts aren't necessarily the same, but they're certainly not different either as far as looking at mixing things up. Regarding the position of the chair, if nominated, I would accept the position. I feel I've demonstrated my ability to work with this group. I think allowing people to feel free to speak when they have, you know, their information, their questions, whether I agreed or disagreed, you know, was always, you know, hopefully encouraging people to speak. I think I've also demonstrated my ability in, as you said, some troubling or some difficult times, been able to demonstrate some strong leadership in keeping meetings on track and moving the board forward. So I think that if the group decides that they want me to be the chair, I'm willing to do that and comfortable doing that as well. So, but as far as just to touch on, Natty's over there with the big eyes, so I was just surprised. I don't necessarily disagree with Member Lewis's thoughts of mixing things up a little bit either. And I guess in my mind, what would make sense is maybe moving someone, you know, again, no disrespect, but into a vice chair position and possibly mentoring, and that's an option as well. So, but the position on the table is the chair, so we'll stick with that. And then,
Yeah, I'm flattered. Thanks. It's great to be trusted as a leader. I think I might feel a little bit more comfortable serving in a vice chair role first. I again, no disrespect, I really do, have a lot of respect for what you guys are doing and how that's doing. Yeah, someday I would love to do that. I'm just not, I don't exactly know all the ins and outs right now of what it is, and I'm sure there'd be somebody to mentor me through that process, but I appreciate that, and I'd like to learn. Yeah.
Currently, there's 2 nominations on the table, so we have to go through with the roll call for either a vote for either Member Severson or myself. So any other discussion before we move forward with that? Okay. Hearing none, then it would be a roll call for,
All right, Louis?
you would just, if you
Which
want to
one?
add,
Oh, we're naming
you're naming who you want for the
Got
chair
it.
position, yes.
John Larkin.
Larkin?
Larkin.
Palmer?
Larkin.
Mueller?
Larkin.
Severson? Larkin?
Okay. That position is set. Next up would be election of the vice chair. The nominations are now in order for the office of the vice chair. Taking nominations.
I'm going to nominate Natty Severson.
Natty Severson is nominated for the vice chair position. Any other nominations?
I would also like to nominate Hala, a samurai.
Okay. Any other nominations for the position of vice chair? Okay, and discussion. I know that Hala is unable to be here, and I actually talked to her about things she'd be interested in regarding liaison positions and things like that. And she also said she would be interested in the vice chair position. So it'd be just a matter of what the group decides that they want to do. So, okay. Any other discussion?
Can we ask for feedback from Member Severson, where she's at with this?
Love to get feedback from Member Severson.
I actually threw my hat in the ring for this one last year, but then it was on the table. I brought it up, but I think it was great that Laura was able to serve in that role this past year. It'd be something I'd be interested in doing.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, again, a roll call.
Louis?
Severson.
Larkin?
Severson.
Palmer?
Severson.
Mueller?
Samurai.
Severson? Severson.
Okay. Position of vice chair goes to Member Severson. Next up would be election of the clerk. Nominations in order for election of the clerk.
I'll nominate member a samurai for clerk.
Okay. Any other nominations for position of clerk? Any other nominations? Nominations are closed for the position of clerk. All those in favor of member Samurai for clerk, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Hall is the clerk.
Do we have to roll, oh no, it was
We
a
don't have to roll
unanimous.
call, if there's just one. Yeah, okay. Next up, election of treasurer. Nominations are in order for the position of treasurer.
I'd like to nominate Member Mueller for that position. Member Mueller, sorry.
Any other nominations for the position of treasurer? One last time, any other nominations for the position of the treasurer? Hearing none, nominations are closed. All those in favor of member Mueller for treasurer, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? You're the treasurer. Okay. Next up is the appointment of the parliamentarian and then the adoption of Robert's Rules of Order. I guess I get to a point, but I'd rather ask if there's someone that would be interested in taking on that role of the parliamentarian before I pick somebody. You okay with that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna
I think
appoint
probably have
Laura
the
as
biggest
the
knowledge.
parliamentarian. And then next up would be the adoption of Robert's Rules. The position of parliamentarian is appointed. Okay, so where's my notes for Robert's Rules? That's, everybody is familiar with the Roberts rules. Enough so that we can have a motion and a second and then discussion for approving it. We're going to approve the, or
Move that forward.
Laura's going to make the motion. Looking for a
Second.
Second. Laura, and there's you, Natty.
Yep.
Okay, discussion. Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Do we want to appoint or?
Oh, I'm sorry, I gotta, okay, let me read this again, and then I'll put you in there for that part, instead of just appointing you. Motion is by Laura, seconded by Natty, to adopt Robert's rules, newly revised as the rules of order for the School Board of Columbia Heights Schools Independent School District 13, except where modified by board policy, and appointing Member Palmer as the parliamentarian for 2018. Now, with that being said, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you, Superintendent. Next up is meeting dates, if I'm following my agenda correctly. I'll read the background. The regular meetings of the school board have been held on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. with the exception of December, in which the meeting would be on the third Tuesday. March, in which there would be no meeting during spring break. July, when there would be no meetings. And August, when there would be no meetings. No meeting on August 14th, because it's a primary election, the regular meeting would be August 21st, and the work session would be August 28th. It's recommended that the board set a meeting day and time that is convenient for the members of the board. It's also recommended that no new business shall be taken up by the school board after 10:45, except by unanimous consent of the board members. There will be the option of adding a work session. Work sessions have been scheduled the third Tuesday of the month at 5:30, and school board meetings will be held in the district community room. So that's the background. Look for a motion to move that forward.
So moved.
Second.
Laura, and discussion. Okay, so motion by Molly, second by Laura, to declare that meeting day and time for the regular school board meetings shall be the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month, with the exception of March, in which the regular school board meeting will be on March 13th, no meeting on March 27th due to spring break, and December, in which the meeting would be December 18th. There would be no meetings in July, no meeting on August 14th because of election primary. The regular meeting would be the 21st. The work session would be August 28th. There'll be options of adding a work session the third Tuesday of the month at 5:30 p.m. and that no new business shall be taken up by the school board at after 10:45 p.m. except by unanimous consent of board members. Board meetings will be held here in the community room. So, that being read, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay, next up is the appointment of board representatives. And you should have in your packet the
Yeah, I'm trying to find the page number.
current, huh?
Page 10.
I still didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Page 10.
Yeah.
is-
And 11 has the people that are currently where they are, so. And this has normally been a, what would you like to do? Do you have an interest in? I'll just mention that I know that Hala had expressed an interest in ties as far as board representatives. So starting with the MSBA legislative liaison. Does anybody have a burning desire for that?
I can do that. I don't know that I would have called it a burning desire for it. I can certainly do that.
ECSU?
I'm fine staying in that role, but if there's somebody else who's interested.
Okay. All right. State High School League?
I'll do that one.
people okay with Hala as ties?
Yeah, I think given the circumstance, it's better to
Okay.
keep the same person.
Consistency.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially right now.
yep.
916, I know that Laura has been super active in that and has a passion.
I do.
That one might be a
And
burning desire.
It really is. I really, and it's one that really fits well into my schedule too, because it's so close to where I work.
You've done an excellent job on
Yes.
keeping us updated on everything that's going on.
Thank you.
so-
And we do have one more project to finish, and I'd love to see that through.
So that would be that you're interested in that one.
Oh, yes, yeah, I'm definitely.
Anybody else interested in 916? Okay, go with Laura. Liaison to the City of Columbia Heights. And again, and Hala didn't, she's either the city and/or the family center, so I don't know if somebody
I
wants to.
think she can have the city. I can take one of the other cities or the family center too, just to keep it rotating, keep people interacting with different people too.
Okay, so anybody else have an issue with, or an interest, I guess I should say, in the height of the city? So Hala for the City of Columbia Heights. Currently, City of Fridley is Molly. Did you want to,
I can take that one, yeah.
you okay with that, Molly? Okay. City of Hilltop, currently is Lorian.
I actually need to give that one up. I have not been successful in attending their meetings, and with my work schedule, their council meetings don't match with my timing.
And I can do that one unless you want it. No?
I had a hard time with the same issue.
Okay. I'll take that one if that's okay with everybody. And then the School Board Policy Subcommittee, currently it's Hala, Natty, and myself. Over the past 3 years, I know that it's been myself, and then we go with 2 other people.
I haven't been on the policy subcommittee in years, and I love
It
policy.
hasn't been years, it's been a couple of years. It just seems like,
It's been years.
It's a really informative role. I
I-
mean,
it-
I've
it
learned a
really
lot
is.
being on the, I've learned a lot. You have to read the policies, so.
and Hala's interested in that as well, so if, Laura, if you're interested in that, and then anybody else,
That one's a tough one with my schedule, I will say.
let's just do Laura, Hala, and myself. And then next is AMSD, Association of Metropolitan School Districts. That was Laura previously, that's usually a Friday
First
morning.
Friday, yeah, it's in the Friday morning at about 7:30.
Once a month.
And I'm working Friday mornings now.
I can do that
Can't
one.
do it.
I don't work on Fridays, so.
Okay.
Most
Oh,
Fridays.
that one's really very, very interesting.
That's a good one, too.
Yeah, it is a good one.
I work on Sundays, though.
And then the Columbia Heights Business Council, that's a Friday as well.
And it's in conflict, or it runs at the same time as AMSD.
And that's a 7-ish meeting as well. That's 7 o'clock. Does that sound right? 7:30, okay. So that's a 7:30 Friday morning.
I'm sorry, I cannot do that one.
Okay.
Can't.
I'm currently on that. I'll stay on that one if nobody else wants it. Okay. So I'm going to reread what we've got. Actually, I'm going to read it, and then I'll ask for a motion in a second with the positions as I have them. And Dawn, you can double check me if you would. For MSBA, as Member Lewis, ECSU would be Member Mueller, State High School League would be Member Lewis, Ties, Member Samurai, 916 is Member Palmer, Liaison to the City of Columbia Heights, Member Samurai, Liaison to the City of Fridley is Member Severson, Liaison to the City of Hilltop would be myself, School Board Policy Subcommittee would be Member Palmer, Member Samurai, myself, AMSD would be Member Severson, and then the Columbia Heights Business Council would be myself. What you got? Look for a motion to move that forward.
So moved.
Molly,
Second.
Lorian, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Next would be the liaisons to the schools effective July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2019. We have, does everybody know where they're at right now for their schools? Where do you see that? Okay, so we would be switching it up as of July 1st. What's that?
We can see them.
I think they've all got them up. Oh, you
I
don't
have
forget
one
this
up,
here.
but I don't know where I'm at.
That's it here. Right here. This is the school, so. So we're just looking for the July 30th, so we'd be moving off of this one.
Can I ask, the only position I haven't done is the high school.
Okay,
I just haven't.
okay, that's fine unless somebody else is.
And I think the school I've had the least interaction with is Valley View, so it'd be fun to be down there.
I'm open to whatever.
Okay. And Holla had said either Family Center or any other school, so if we put her at the Family Center. Then you got Columbia Academy, Highland, and North Park left.
I think most recently I've been at Columbia Academy and Highland, so I could go to North Park if,
I was going to say the same thing, but
Oh.
why don't you go ahead with
You know what?
North Park, and then I'll take either one of the others.
really, Lorian, go for North Park if you haven't, because you haven't had children, go
Yeah, I
experience
haven't
that,
had
do
any
that.
kids at North
Yeah,
Park.
Lorian's going to
So
North
go.
Park.
Yeah.
You want Columbia Academy or Highland? Where are you at right now?
I'm at Columbia Academy, so I'll go to Highland.
Okay. So it'll be Molly.
And that's July 1,
July 1st
2018.
Of 18, yep. And that's not an action item of any sort, right, Don? We're just appointing? It's not an action item of any sort, right? We don't have to vote on that one? On the liaison one? Okay, oh, that'd be the second page, okay. So, it'd be for the high school, it'd be Laura, Columbia Academy, myself. At Highland would be Molly, North Park would be Lorian, Valley View, Natty, and the Family Center for Holla. So motion to move that forward.
So moved.
Second.
Lorian, there's Natty. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? That motion carries. Next would be salaries and per diem. So, does everybody have in front of them current salaries? So, let's do a motion in a second, then have a conversation about the salaries. So let me read the motion as it currently stands, and then we can have a conversation. But we'll start with a motion by
So moved.
Natty,
Second.
Lorian. So a motion by Natty, second by Lorian, to set the 2018 salaries for all board members currently at $500 per month, to establish additional compensation for board officers as follow. The chair, $600 per month, and furthermore, that all members of the board may receive per diem payments over salaries established by the Board of Education for meetings of NSBA, MSBA, mediation sessions, and such other meetings as may be approved by the board, in which take a member from his or her regular obligations of regular work day, or which are held on Saturday or Sunday. Said compensation for the per diem payment to be $50 per day for up to 4 hours and $100 per day in excess of 4 hours. So that's the motion. Discussion.
I think we discussed this last year, too. I'm just kind of continuing to look at the information that we have in front of us of how board salaries compare to other neighboring schools, to make sure that we're in line with what our neighboring districts are having. And I'm looking at, obviously, the number of meetings per year, and the board salaries are somewhat, I think they're close to being in line.
I guess it says, since January 2008, this is what, a board in the past had set as salaries, and that's what it's been since then, so not sure what the rationale was at the time, but I would not disagree that, keeping in mind the additional meetings and things like that, I'm comfortable with where we're at.
Are board members allowed to waive their salary?
Yes.
And would that be done now or at any point? Do we know?
I think they could be done at any point. I'm looking toward the parliamentarian, but I believe there are some legislators that decide after the fact and waive their salaries. And that would be just a matter of contacting the business office. Because what you're setting is the standard.
She's asking if a board member could waive their salary, and do they have to do it now, or can it be done at a later time?
No, that's not really a parliamentary issue. That's up to your district policies.
So it could be done at any time. Anything else? Okay, hearing no further discussion with the motion as read, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Next is the designation of depositories.
Thank you, Chair Larkin, members of the board, and Superintendent Kelly. In the board packet, there is a resolution naming the designated depositories for the next school year. They would be Bank of America, U.S. Bank, Northeast Bank, Minnesota School District Liquid Asset Fund Plus, Wells Fargo, and then the investment brokers authorized were requesting Morgan Stanley and PMA Financial Network.
Okay, and your board book has a long name, so it's USA, or Bank of America.
Bank of America, yeah.
As the first one in place of whatever was there before.
LaSalle.
So, thank you. Okay, so, this is a resolution, so I'll ask for a motion in a second, and then I'll read the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Laura, second by Molly. Be it resolved that the following be designated as depositories for certain monies of the school district, and as such are authorized and directed to honor and/or pay checks or orders when signed by the treasurer and the clerk for withdrawal or transfer of funds on deposit in said bank in whatever form for Bank of America, U.S. Bank, Northeast Bank, Minnesota School District Liquid Asset Fund Plus, Wells Fargo. Be it further resolved that the following investment brokers are hereby authorized and directed to honor orders when signed by treasurer and the clerk for the withdrawal or transfer of funds on deposit in said instructions in whatever form to Morgan Stanley and PMA Financial Network. Be it further resolved that in case such deposits in designated banks shall at any time exceed $250,000, said depository shall immediately furnish bond or securities in lieu of bonding according to law and the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, Minnesota, or any of the aforementioned depositories are hereby designated as the place for safekeeping for all securities furnished in lieu of such bond. Discussion, questions, or comments?
This is the same procedure as every year?
Correct.
Okay, nothing's different about it?
No, no statutory changes, no changes.
Okay.
Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, oh, actually, roll call, because it's a resolution, sorry. And our clerk is now,
Not here.
okay, I'll go with
Be the
the previously
substitute.
acting clerk too.
Yes.
Or do we have Dawn do it?
We could have Don do it.
Dawn?
Aye.
Lewis,
Aye.
Larkin,
Aye,
Palmer,
Aye.
Mueller,
Aye.
motion carries. Next up would be designation of electronic transfer designees.
Chair Larkin, members of the board, Superintendent Kelly, this notion is necessary so that we can do electronic transfers within the business office. And we're requesting again that the Director of Finance and Operations, myself, and then the Deputy Director of Finance, Denise Sundstrom, be named as the designees for transfers.
So need a motion to move that forward.
So moved.
Laura,
Second.
Natty. Motion by Laura, second by Natty, to appoint Christine Carr and Deputy Director of Finance Denise Sundstrom as its designees in processing electronic transfers. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? That motion carries. Next up would be the designation of the election clerk. Is that me or you?
This one, we have
Did I-
legal counsel and contacts.
Legal
Oh, legal.
counsel. Legal.
Oh, there it is. I took 2 pages, my bad. Okay. You get this one too, Christine?
Yes. Chair Larkin, members of the board, Superintendent Kelly, this motion is to designate the legal counsel for the district. We're requesting designation of Karen Keppel from Northeast Metro 916, Laura Tubbs Booth of Booth and Laverado, Joe Langle of Ratwick, Rosewick, and Maloney, and then Thomas Deans of Knutson, Flynn, and Deans. These attorneys will handle various issues from due process and human resource issues to contractual items, and then any legislative issues that we may have.
Okay. Motion to move that forward.
So moved.
Laura, second to Molly. Motion by Laura, second by Molly, to appoint Karen Keppel, Laura Tubbs Booth, Joseph Langle, and others of Ratwick, Rosewick, and Maloney, PA, and Thomas Deans as its legal counsel designees. The contacts shall be the school board chair and the superintendent and/or her designee. Discussion.
I know that, obviously, I've only been on the board for a year, but these have been our legal counsel for that time. I know that our interactions have been positive. Have there been conversations or research done about other counsels that may be appropriate, or are we just continuing to use the ones that we have been confident with?
I think in this area, it's very important to have attorneys that are familiar with school law and school statutes, and they're all very reputable attorneys that are used for many school districts. So I think if we found a situation where we felt that we couldn't find an attorney within this group that knew the subject matter well, we would come back to the board and ask permission to use a different attorney, but these have been doing a very good job.
Thank you.
They've been great for us over the last few years.
And they have different specializations. Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Now, the designation of the election clerk.
Very good. Mr. Chair and members, I would like to put before the board tonight the appointment of Dawn Hoyam as the election clerk. She has been trained multiple years in this position, has gone through multiple elections, and has served in this position since 2007. And so, if the board's, with the board's approval, I would like to put her name in nomination for that position.
Motion to move that forward.
So moved.
Molly?
Second.
Laura? Motion by Molly, second by Laura, to appoint Don Hoyam as its election clerk designee. Discussion.
Got a lot of experience.
You up for it? No.
Always have a choice.
All right, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Next would be the designation of the official newspaper.
Chair Larkin, members of the school board, Superintendent Kelly. According to Minnesota Statute 331A04 Subdivision 1, and consistent with Minnesota School Board Association Service Manual, school boards must designate a qualified legal newspaper for publication of its notices and official proceedings. The Communications Department sent a proposal to 4 publications that cover part of or in whole the boundaries of the Columbia Heights Public School District. And of these, 3 met the deadline by submitting proposals. To best determine which of the proposals should be recommended to you, the school board, a chart compared each with the legal requirements as well as the newspaper circulations, distributions, and legal notice pricing. Each of the proposals did meet the statutory requirements, and based on those requirements and the circulation, distribution, and costs, Sun Focus is recommended as the official newspaper for the Columbia Heights Public School District.
Okay, start with a motion to move that forward.
So moved.
Laura?
Second.
Maddie? Discussion, questions, or comments?
I just have a couple questions. So these were the only 3 proposals that were received on time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so these are the only qualified proposals that we,
There are 4 publications that cover part of or all the district. And we sent a message to, an email to all inviting them to submit proposals.
Okay.
That was on December 20th, and January 3rd was the deadline, and 3 publications responded. And those were the 3 that we reviewed.
okay. One question, just looking at these proposals, so we've got the Northeaster, the Star Tribune, and the Sun Focus. The pricing is most attractive for the Sun Focus. The Northeaster has a greater circulation. Has consideration been given to, obviously, I think cost is important and managing finances is critical, but the Northeaster is reaching almost 5,000 more households than the Sun Focus?
Yeah. Yes, I totally went over that. The one thing about the Northeaster is that it does not cover Southern Fridley at all.
Okay,
But they do have a larger circulation, which also includes Northeast Minneapolis.
But with the Sun Focus, my understanding is that people could get that, but they have to go online to register for that. And the information is also available online, is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Having said that, I just read something just earlier today. I needed to follow up in terms of the circulation of the Sun Focus. They had switched to where you can request to have it mailed to you. I just read something just before the meeting that may no longer be the case, but they do cover all the entire school district boundaries.
and we are required to select just one?
Yes.
We can't select multiple?
I can go back and look in the statute, but I'm pretty certain it's the official newspaper.
Sorry, can I? If we were to select more than one, we would have to publish in both?
Yes.
Okay.
How many column inches do we typically use? Or, okay. We do have to post all of our board meetings, some minutes, some
Double the cost.
double the cost,
More than
yep.
double.
Thanks.
So Director Rand, based on what you had just said with the Sun Focus, the potentially change in the subscription delivery, is that a concern?
That's by mail,
Right.
but I don't have anything else at this point. I just read something just before here, and I have not, it's actually in one of the competing publications.
Okay.
And so I don't want to take what I read in the competing publication as fact.
Okay.
But I do know that they do mail their newspapers to to homes that request it in all of the district.
It is available, I believe, to every address in the city. So that's, I
Yes,
think
that's
that's where I would default to. Plus, we wouldn't want to double the cost, and it does cover the Southern
Right, absolutely.
Fridley. I'm sorry, Don.
Yeah, it's,
Thank you. Yes.
Once we designate the official publication, can we change that if we need to? Or does that have to stay for the period of the year?
Usually a year.
Okay, so if there's changes in the way that those subscriptions are being handled or distributed or delivered, we're tied to the decision for the year.
Well, I would say yes. From my experience so far is that usually we people come in, they make their, they have their discussions with us, we lay it out, we make a recommendation, and we stick with it for a year. Yeah.
Can we, are we permitted to delay this vote until we have more information? Can we wait to designate the official publication at another meeting, or does it have to be done at this meeting?
That is something I don't know, because usually it's done at the organizational meeting, so I have no idea on that. Lorian, I wouldn't want to give you an answer one way or the other.
I guess my concern with it, with the Northeaster, and I see that there, it says it's a higher circulation, but you're saying it does not cover any of Southern Fridley, correct?
Yes, I discussed that with the publisher.
So we're
But
potentially not
the newspaper does cover all of Columbia Heights.
the Northeaster,
Yes, sir.
not Southern Fridley. Not Southern Fridley. So my concern with going with the Northeaster or looking at doing something different would be is that we're not doing due diligence to notify all of our, because that would be, I get where you're going with the higher numbers and the cost difference, even being there, but I would have concerns about not being able to notify or publish.
I'm not saying that there's another choice that's better at this time. I think just overall, my concern is, making sure that, yes, we have the designated publication, but the information is getting out to as many people in our community as possible, that they have access to that information while being fiscally responsible with the cost. So ideally, it would be great to have more than one avenue, but the cost would be pretty exceptional from what we're currently doing. But just asking the questions to make sure that we are making an informed decision. This is important. It's related to getting information out, disseminating information to members in our community, as well as being fiscally responsible. So it's really tied, there's a whole lot of things that are tied up into this decision. And it sounds like it's a year-long decision. So I just want to make sure that we have all the information possible.
I guess my question is, do we know for sure it's a year-long? I know historically, that's what we've done, is we've, at the organizational meeting, we've designated the paper, and then we've gone with that for the year.
The only thing I think we could do is look at the one book we get from MSBA, which is what it says, what you usually do on the first meeting of the year. And then we usually stick with it. I can only tell you what past practice has been. I really do not want to wade into that without.
From the way I could understand the statute is that it has to go to so much a percentage of the households and be accessible. If we were not to, if we were to go with a different paper that didn't have the circulation in Fridley, would we be out of compliance?
My interpretation of the statute is that I believe it's 75% of the entity, and where that 75% of the Northeaster is, I know that just one part of it doesn't fit in Southern Fridley.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so the motion on the table is to approve the Sun Focus as our designated paper. Further discussion regarding that?
I hear what you're saying. I think thankfully, there are other ways to deliver information to the community online and other resources. It would be excellent if a newspaper hit every doorstep. I don't know, it doesn't seem like that's a possibility.
And with the free subscription, I hear that you said there might be changes with that, but maybe if we could even put that on the website, how to obtain the free subscription for the Sun Focus. So that's accessible for people.
Seems like I could.
Any other discussion? Okay, motion on the table is to approve the Sun Focus as the paper for the district. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
Abstain? Maureen Mueller? I would ask, now that that's done, is if we could find out, from something other than a competing paper, what they're actually going to do, and if Superintendent Kelly, if you could find out if if we are truly locked in. I mean, if there's a way that we can come back and better notify, our constituents at a price that is fair. So I don't want to close the door on it. If there's a way that we can look at doing that, we want to do what's in the best interest of all. So if we could do that.
Well, sounds very reasonable, and what we'll do is Casey can do some more investigative research on this, and then we'll look, we'll do some things with MSBA as well, and then how about if we get that into the update for you, so you know? Thank you. Okay.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
And that, this meeting is adjourned.